When I Fall by Scarlet Emerald 32. Chapter 37.
All right, moving on from infrastructure, let's talk crops.
Aaron looked down at the paper in front of him.
Talisa, since Eugene had to miss this meeting for his rendezvous at Hilltop, do you want to go over any notes he had?
I'd be happy to.
In the month and a half since Rick's death, a sort of uneasy routine had fallen back into place in Alexandria, and part of that was the reinstitution of the council to govern activity. It had been easily decided that Michonne would fill the role of de facto leader, but with her going out scouting with Daryl for longer and longer periods of time, the day-to-day running of the community had fallen back on the council, which now consisted of her, Gabriel, Aaron, and Eugene. Though the latter was so busy with the rebuilding and expansion efforts, he didn't attend many meetings. Talisa opened her notebook and looked over the notes Eugene had written.
Sorghum and wheat were our best bulk crops this year, though corn did fairly well too, which Eugene believes is significant because it will be an easy and filling food source for the animals this winter. And speaking of winter, he's already got the growers working on getting the cold weather covers ready for the gardens. We had a bumper crop this summer of tomatoes, zucchini, cucumbers, peppers, and beans, most of which are in the process of being canned for the coming months. As the weather gets cooler, a plan's already being enacted to plant our winter crops. Beets, carrots, cabbage, spinach, and potatoes are all hardy crops that can withstand the cold.
Sounds perfect. How are we coming on the water purification and irrigation?
We're doing well. The irrigation is almost done. In fact, Eugene has been toying with the idea of seeing if we can expand and build a few small rice paddies down near the reservoir once it gets warm again.
He thinks we can grow rice?
In the summer, yes. He got a new book on alternative crops and their necessary environments a few weeks ago, and he's been reading it like crazy. He said the soil down by the reservoir has the right clay to silt composition, so if he can engineer a terraced system with proper drainage, it should be a viable option.
Wow. I gotta say, rice in the winter months would be a game changer.
There's a reason it's a staple in so many parts of the world. Or, at least it was.
Okay, so that's agriculture. Any updates on Negan?
Aaron flipped a page and looked back up at her expectantly.
Not really. He's still acting depressed and reclusive, but I think that's probably to be expected. We never assumed he was going to enjoy his time down there. It's a punishment after all.
Do you get any sense that he may be beginning to feel remorse for his actions?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I see glimpses of it, but he's so damn stubborn. I don't know that he'll ever let it go.
Well, at least you're trying.
Yep, that's what I do.
When does the contingent from Hilltop get back?
They're supposed to be back by 4, and they better be on time and have everything they were supposed to be trading for, or I'm going to be pissed. I'm counting on those supplies for tonight.
Oh yeah? What's tonight?
It's Eugene's birthday, and I asked Rosita to see if they could get a couple specific things for me to make him a special dinner. I've been working on it all week, but without the key ingredient, it'll all be for nothing.
What's the key ingredient?
Ground beef. I know they butchered a cow a week ago. Jesus told us about it when he came here, so I sent along a couple bottles of wine and some of the gazpacho Eugene made last weekend in hopes that I could get a half-pound of it for cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers, huh? I think Gracie and I are coming to your house for dinner tonight.
Sorry, meal's already prepped and ready to go, and it's for 2. I didn't really have a chance to get him much of anything in the way of presents this year, so I'm hoping the good meal will make up for it.
I'm sure spending his birthday with you will be present enough.
Talisa shot him an appreciative smile as they all heard the sound of the gates opening and looked up.
What time is it?
Aaron looked down at his watch.
3:45.
They must have made good time.
They all stood and walked to the doors of the church. When they got outside, they saw the wagon from Hilltop loaded with goods. Eugene had the reins, and Rosita was sitting beside him. They both hopped down, and Eugene walked over to where Talisa was standing.
Hey there, mister. I missed you.
Missed you more.
Not remotely possible.
She pulled his face down to give him a slow kiss. Ugh, get a room, Rosita said as she walked around the wagon, but she was smiling.
We have a room. We have a whole house, in point of fact.
So then use it. Everything quiet here?
Yep, nothing out of the ordinary to report. Got a case of flu that's been going around, but Sadiq has it contained. As of now, Mark and Sarah are the only two that still have it, and they're quarantined. How'd things go at Hilltop?
Good. Got everything we went there to trade for.
Including the...
Yep, got it on ice in the back.
Yes!
So I take it I am still not permitted to be privy to whatever it is that Rosita so secretly snuck into the wagon at the last minute and promptly informed me was none of my beeswax when questioned about said mysterious package.
That is correct. Birthday boys get surprised. That's the way it's always been, so deal with it, old man.
I would hardly call 36 old.
It's 3 years older than me. You're officially in your late 30s, my friend.
Mid-30s. Mathematically speaking, ages 30 to 33 would be considered early, 34 to 36 mid, and 37 to 39 late.
Well, you're knocking on the door of your late 30s then.
And I don't know, these gray hairs don't help your case haircut.
If I recall correctly, you have in the past expressed that you find my newly acquired silver streaks to be particularly attractive.
Oh, I do for sure. They're very sexy and distinguished.
Distinguished is just a fancy word for old.
Rosita pointed out as she lifted one of the crates out of the back of the wagon. Talisa suppressed a smirk as Eugene shot her a look. She put a gentle hand against his cheek, drawing his attention back to her.
So how's the windmill at Hilltop? You helped them troubleshoot their issues?
I did. Their issue was as simple as a tooth in one of their gears that was sticking. I identified the offending digit and talked them through how to fix it if the problem should pop up again.
Look at you being the hero.
Hardly. I'm simply using the talents I possess to improve each of our communities in all ways possible.
And you're doing a damn good job of it.
A few hours later, after a dinner that Talisa honestly thought couldn't have worked out more perfectly, Eugene leaned across their small table and took her hand with a smile.
Thank you, Talisa. As far as birthday dinners go, that was very near perfection. I think I'd begun to forget what a good cheeseburger tasted like.
Well, that probably works in my favor because that was my first time ever making them. I've never really considered myself a grill master.
Nonsense. Everything was exquisite. I consider myself well and truly spoiled.
Well, there is one more thing.
She smiled and then got up and headed for the kitchen. She came back carrying a plate that held a brownie with a single match lit and stuck in it.
We didn't have any candles. I won't sing because I know you hate it, but blow it out quick before it burns down.
Eugene blew out the match and then removed it from the brownie.
I know you're not a cake guy, so I decided brownies were the next best thing. I made them the way I know you like them. Crispy edges but fudgy in the center.
I reiterate, well and truly spoiled.
Well, I wasn't able to get you any proper presents this year, and I wanted to do something to make the day special. I mean, I kinda love ya, haircut.
He smiled appreciatively and picked up his fork to take a bite of the brownie. As he did, he closed his eyes and sighed.
Absolute perfection. Grab your fork and join me.
I made it for you. It's your birthday.
I insist.
She looked at him for another second before rolling her eyes slightly and grabbing her fork.
Wow, you weren't kidding. I did good. So what did you wish for?
I know you are fully aware of the guidelines that mandate a birthday wish can only come true if it remains a secret.
Oh, come on. You don't believe in superstitions like that.
By that logic, I also don't believe in wishes, which makes the entire endeavor a moot point.
Sometimes you are just no fun.
She gave him a playful glare that made him grin. They sat there together in the comfortable silence that had become almost second nature to them in the 6 weeks they'd been living together.
Sorry I couldn't get you anything better as a birthday gift.
I assure you, there is no gift in the world that could hold a candle to sitting here beside you.
Very good answer, haircut. But I still wish I could have gotten you something. Be honest. If you could have anything you could dream up in this moment, what would it be?
Eugene looked over at her, and she thought he seemed almost nervous. She was curious what he could possibly be considering.
Are you sure you want my answer to that?
I mean, yes. And with that reaction now, I'm also very curious.
If I could have anything in the world in this moment, I think it would be to have the conversation that I've been contemplating initiating with you for several weeks now.
Talisa looked at him in slight confusion.
You want to have a conversation as your birthday gift?
If you'd be so disposed.
Of course, love. You can talk to me about anything. You know that. What did you want to discuss?
I suppose the status of our relationship currently?
Eugene smiled slightly at the confused expression on her face and covered her hand with his as he continued.
I have been extremely happy over these past 6 weeks. In fact, I struggled to remember a time in my life when I have felt more comfortable, safe, and at peace.
I'm really happy too. Happier than I ever thought I'd be again.
So I was wondering how you might feel about the idea of progressing our relationship to the proverbial next step.
Well, I mean, we're already in a committed relationship and living together. What do you imagine our next step would be?
One in which we cohabitate much as we have been, with the main difference being that we change our status from boyfriend and girlfriend to husband and wife.
Talisa's heart stuttered slightly. She looked up at him in dazed shock. She could see in his eyes he was already starting to worry about her reaction, and she wanted to assure him she wasn't upset by the idea, but her brain was having trouble catching up with her voice.
Are you proposing to me?
Not in the strictest sense. I have considered it. In fact, a multitude of scenarios concerning the where and how of the proverbial bending of the knee have been running through my mind for weeks. But in the end, I came to the conclusion that marriage in this new world does not look like it did before. And if it's something we are going to consider, it should be a conversation, not a grand romantic gesture, as much as you completely and entirely deserve one.
Okay. So, what would that look like? I mean, it's not like there's a way for us to do it legally. And I'd say we could have Father Gabriel marry us, but neither of us are big on religion, so that doesn't feel right either. Would we just do what Maggie and Glenn did and say we're married?
So, you're saying you're open to the idea? You're considering it?
Talisa smiled at him and shook her head.
Eugene, I've been considering the idea on some level ever since we got back together. I just didn't think you'd want to move this fast.
I am, of course, willing to move at whatever speed you are most comfortable with. But, as far as my desires are concerned, if the events of a month and a half ago have shown us anything, it's that time is not guaranteed. And if I were to die tomorrow, I'd like it to be with the knowledge that I was married to the most wonderful woman who ever crossed my path.
Talisa felt a lump rise in her throat at his words, and she quickly reached up to brush away the tears that came to her eyes.
I thought you weren't going the grand romantic gesture route.
Does that mean your answer is yes?
Technically, you didn't ask me a question.
Talisa Jeanette Prince, would you please afford me the indescribable honor of agreeing to be my wife?
Eugene Herman Porter, it would be my absolute pleasure.
He pulled her into his lap and kissed her fiercely. She gave a small squeal of surprise as he stood up and carried her back towards their bedroom.
So, we never made any logistical decisions, you know. I accepted your proposal, and then you attacked me.
I'd be happy to offer my apologies, but you should know they will be entirely disingenuous.
She chuckled slightly.
Seriously, though, you asked, I said yes. So where are we? Are we engaged, or are we married now because we say we are?
What are your thoughts on the matter?
Eugene pulled her closer so she was tucked against his side.
I want to do something to make it feel official, but it doesn't have to be anything big. We can just have some kind of small ceremony, just the two of us. You know, like Padme and Anakin on Naboo.
I feel compelled to point out that your usage of that reference for a comparison regarding our impending nuptials is beyond sexy, and once again highlights why you are the perfect woman in my eyes.
She giggled slightly as she leaned up to kiss his cheek.
So, a small, intimate ceremony for just the two of us seems straightforward enough. I'm guessing you would like to exchange some sort of vows at said ceremony.
It doesn't have to be that formal, especially if it's just us. We can just say how we feel, why we want to get married, and what being married means to us.
When you phrase it like that, it doesn't sound as daunting. I believe that is within my capabilities. Is there anything else you feel should be part of our union?
Rings, I think. Nothing fancy, of course. I'm not looking for a diamond or anything, but nothing says married to the world, like seeing the ring on someone's finger, you know?
I agree, but the practicality of procuring said rings may set our timeline back a spell.
Well, I mean, maybe they don't have to be traditional rings. I don't really like the idea of just getting some random ring off a walker because it's probably a wedding ring or something like that. Maybe we should both put some thought into how we could make or find something for the other to wear. The more unique, the better. I'd love to have something special from you.
All right, so it's agreed. We will both search out unique alternatives with which to create rings for the other, and then, once they are obtained, we'll have a small private ceremony here in our home to exchange them, and then we'll be married.
And then we'll be married. Actually, hang on. I just thought of something.
She sat up and turned to her bedside table. As she did, she felt him reach out and gently run his fingertips down her spine, making her smile. She opened the drawer and pulling out a small ball of twine and some scissors.
Give me your left hand.
She tied the twine around his ring finger, making sure it was tight enough, but not too tight, and then knotted it securely before snipping off the ends and then sliding the loop of string off his finger. She did the same on her own ring finger, and then slipped it off and handed it to him.
There you go. Now we both have each other's ring sizes for reference. Are you getting that stuff for your trip to the hilltop?
Talisa looked up from the inventory sheet she was working on to where Sadiq was adding some canned vegetables to a pack.
Yeah, only going for one night, so I don't need much. But Maggie said Herschel loves these pickled cucumbers, so I figured I'd bring her a jar too.
You know, pickled cucumbers are just called pickles, right?
You know, that never made sense to me. How come every other vegetable gets to keep its name when pickled, but cucumbers lose their identity?
The world may never know. So who's going with you this time?
Tara, Rosita offered, but her and Eugene just made a trip there last week, as you well know, and I felt bad making her turn around and go out again.
Would there be room for one more?
Sadiq looked up at her questioningly.
You want to go to Hilltop with us? Why?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen Herschel in forever. He's gonna be one in a few months, and I haven't seen him since he was practically a newborn, and I have a little side mission I wanted to take care of. Nothing dangerous, and it's barely out of the way.
What sort of side mission are we talking about?
What are the chances that if I tell you it's personal, you'll let it go and not bug me about it?
Absolutely zero.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Can you at least accept you'll find out when we get there?
I suppose. We're leaving in an hour. Meet us by the gate.
Talisa headed towards the gate an hour later with Eugene by her side. She looked over at his confused expression and smirked slightly.
It's killing you that I'm being secretive about why I want to go to Hilltop, isn't it?
I simply don't understand the need for your elusiveness on the matter. You know, I trust you implicitly, so it's not a matter of me believing you to be up to anything nefarious. But I cannot fathom what you might be intending to do that necessitates keeping me in the dark.
I supposed it doesn't necessitate keeping you entirely in the dark. It has to do with what we discussed on your birthday, and my next steps in fulfilling my part of it. But I'd rather not give you any more specifics, because I really would like it to be a surprise.
See? Was that so difficult?
He put a hand against the side of her face, leaning down to kiss her.
I'm completely amenable to that, And in fact, your excursion gives me a chance to work on my contribution to our proposed agreement without your prying eyes.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, indeed, and you'd best not even consider asking any questions after the nature of your previous proclamation.
I wasn't going to.
She leaned up to kiss him again.
All right, already. You're only going to be gone overnight. Let's get this show on the road.
Talisa gave Eugene one more quick peck and then walked over to hop up next to Sadiq on the seat of the wagon.
Please be conscientious in your driving and cautious in your travel. That is entirely precious cargo you carry.
You got it, Eugene. I'll take good care of her, I promise.
I greatly appreciate that.
See you tomorrow, haircut. I love you.
And I love you.
Talisa stood at the base of the hill, looking up at the lone tree centered against the bright autumn sky. There were stained glass art pieces hanging from the lower branches that cast beautiful rainbow prisms across the yellowing grass below. The place felt peaceful, picturesque even.
Beautiful, isn't it? You'd never guess that this is where all that shit went down.
Funny, I was thinking pretty much the same thing.
So why exactly did you want to stop here again?
I need to get something. And honestly, I kind of just wanted to see it. This is where everything changed, you know?
Yeah, I do. I was here.
So walk me through it. You guys were down here, right? And the saviors were where?
About 30 feet up the hill. Most of them were right along that ridge line, but Negan, Eugene, and a few of his other lieutenants came down and were standing right about there.
Tara pointed to a spot a little ways up the hill, and Talisa walked up to where she'd indicated and looked around.
Bingo.
You made us come a half hour out of our way to get defective bullet casings?
Yep.
What the hell?
I need them for something. You'll get it eventually.
Whatever you say.
They arrived at Hilltop in another 2 hours, and Maggie came down the hill to greet them with Herschel on her hip.
Oh my God, look at this little man.
Talisa reached her arms out for him, and he grinned, allowing her to take him.
You are growing up much too fast, sir.
He's walking and everything now.
Are you walking?
Herschel grinned at her and nodded.
Let's see it.
She put him down on his feet, and he wobbled slightly, but then confidently toddled over to Maggie, who swooped him back up as they all applauded.
I can't believe how big he is. I can't let that much time pass between visits again.
You'll get no arguments from me. You want to come up to the house? We just put supper on the table.
Sounds good to me. I'm starving.
I'll be up in a second. I want to stop in and talk to Earl first.
Okay, we'll see you up there.
The three of them walked up towards the house, and Talisa made her way across the grounds to where Earl the blacksmith was working on shaping a horseshoe on his anvil, while Alden and Marco cooled several others in the water barrel.
Hey, Earl.
Hey, Talisa. Haven't seen you around here in a while.
Yeah, I've been sticking close to home lately. Hey, Alden. Marco.
She nodded in their direction, and they waved.
So, Earl, I know you're a blacksmith by trade, but you ever do any metalwork on a smaller scale?
Sure. I'm actually a blacksmith out of necessity, really. I'd consider myself a craftsman. What did you have in mind?
Think you could work with one of these?
She held out the shell casings in her hand.
What would I be making out of them?
A ring. This is the size I need it to be.
She pulled the piece of string out of her pocket and handed it to him as well.
Yeah, I reckon I could make you something. You want it to have the details from the casing visible in it?
It'd be neat if they were, but if it makes it more difficult, they don't have to be. The symbolism is there either way.
I'll see what I can do. Shouldn't be too difficult. I'm guessing you'd like it by the time you leave tomorrow?
I don't want to rush you. If you've got other things to do, I can come back and get in a week or two, or you can send it on with Jesus next time he comes to Alexandria.
It's no trouble. These horseshoes are the only thing on the docket for us today, and we're almost finished. This should only take me a few hours.
Thank you, Earl. What do I owe you for it?
Nothing.
She opened her mouth to protest, but he spoke over her.
It'll be nice to get to do some more intricate work for a change, and I'm happy to do it.
Well, thanks again then, I guess. I'll come check back in with you before we leave tomorrow.
Sounds good.
You know we would have been happy to stay down in one of the trailers. Wouldn't want your people thinking we got special treatment.
Talisa sat down on the couch across from Maggie and tucked her feet up underneath herself.
My people don't have a problem with your treatment. Besides, Sadiq is the doctor for both our communities, so people expected me to treat him well.
I love what you've done with the place, by the way.
Since Maggie had taken up residence in the house, it was obvious she'd gone out of her way to make it feel more like a home. She'd moved the majority of the furniture to the second-floor landing that all the rooms were off of, creating a sort of communal living room space for anyone who cared to use it, with shelves of books and games, and even a record player.
I just wanted to make it feel like more of a home, and a place where my people felt like they could have access to me. Gregory always kept himself so apart, you know?
Yeah.
Talisa looked over towards the room where she knew Herschel was sleeping.
How was his checkup?
It went great. Sadiq says his height and weight are perfect. He's hitting all his milestones right on track. I'm starting to see his personality more and more, and he's so much like his daddy.
Oh yeah? How so?
He's got Glenn's enthusiasm. He gets so excited over even the littlest thing, and he feels everything so deeply. He's smart, too. He's already learned at least 20 words that he uses regularly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I never knew I could love someone like I love him, you know? It's like I always wanted to make this place, this world better, but now there's nothing I wouldn't do to make sure he grows up happy and safe.
I know. You're an amazing mother like that. Never had a doubt you would be.
Maggie looked down at the cup in her hands as she spoke again.
You've never asked me about what happened with Gregory.
I didn't need to. For one, Rick explained it to me. And you also didn't owe me any kind of explanation. He tried to kill you. He was a threat, and you took care of it. You have nothing to justify.
It was Earl who actually tried to do it. He was drunk and angry about what happened to his boy, and Gregory used it against him, manipulated him into doing his dirty work. Not that that's a surprise to anyone. I locked Earl up for almost a month.
What made you let him out in the end?
Maggie sighed and looked out the window into the dark compound.
He made the wrong choice because he was hurting. I guess in the end I could sympathize with that. Not to mention, if nobody had given my daddy a second chance, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you right now.
A very good point.
Talisa picked up her mug of hot tea as well and took a sip.
Hey Maggie, can I ask you a question? If it's too painful and you don't want to answer, I'm fine with that, of course, but I'm honestly curious.
Shoot.
When you and Glenn got married, how did that work?
Maggie smiled slightly, and Talisa noticed she gently ran her thumb across the diamond ring she still wore on her ring finger.
It wasn't anything special. He told my daddy he wanted to marry me and got his permission. Then he got the ring and asked me. I said yes, and then we just kind of decided it was done.
She shot Talisa a slightly amused look.
I take it your reason for asking has something to do with what you were talking with Earl about this afternoon?
Maybe.
She met Maggie's curious gaze and after another second sighed in resignation.
Okay, fine. It does, but if I tell you, you have to keep it to yourself for now, okay? We haven't told anyone.
You're serious?
Maggie's smile widened as she sat up in her chair and leaned forward.
You and Eugene?
Yeah. He asked me last week. We decided we wanted to get rings for each other so we could make it seem more official, and that we'd do something formal for just us. But then, yeah.
Talisa, that's amazing.
I know. I spent so much time over the past year letting go of the idea that we'd ever be together again that it seems surreal. And that's not even taking into account the fact that I never imagined being married again.
You know I was one of the first people who told you it was okay to move on, and I stand by that. I'm so happy for you. But now, from this side of it, I just don't know how you had the strength to do it. I can't even imagine it.
I couldn't either before it happened. I think it's one of those things that just sort of sneaks up on you. It did for me anyway. You saw it firsthand. I didn't want to fall in love with Eugene. He gave me no choice in the matter.
Maggie smirked appreciatively.
I just don't know if I'll ever have it in me, if I even want to.
And if you don't, that's completely okay. There's about 1,000,000 different ways to live a happy life, and no one else gets to decide what that looks like for you.
Where do you think you're going?
Rosita walked up to the gate, putting a hand out to grab hold of it. Eugene, who had been in the process of opening it, looked down at her in confusion.
I have an errand of a personal nature to complete that requires resources that are not available within these walls.
And you think you're just going to wander out the gate by yourself without letting anyone know where you're going?
Of course not. I informed Michonne of my objective and my destination.
That doesn't change the fact that you were about to head out alone.
Rosita, it may have escaped your notice, but I have been handling my own safety and defense for nigh on a year's time now. My melee weapons expertise has reached a level that could be classified as at least proficient, and my tendency to freeze when put in stressful or dangerous situations has all but disappeared.
Good for you. I'm coming with you.
I assure you it's not necessary. My destination is relatively close, and the potential risk is low.
Eugene, I'm going. So do you want to stand here arguing with me for the next 10 minutes before we leave? Or do you want to save time and just accept it and leave now?
Eugene looked at her in annoyance.
Fine, but I don't plan on slowing down or explaining my actions to you, so keep up.
He turned back to the gate and headed through it with Rosita keeping up easily. After they had walked for about 20 minutes, Rosita looked around in recognition and then back at Eugene.
Are we going where I think we're going, Eugene?
What part of not explaining my actions was difficult for you to comprehend?
Okay, you don't have to be a dick about it. I forced you to let me come along because I care about you. And because Talisa would kick my ass if I let something happen to you, asshole.
I suppose that's fair enough. I apologize for my surly attitude. Thank you for your willingness to have my back.
That's more like it.
In answer to your previous question, if you intended to imply that our destination is the machine shop, where I previously manufactured the bullets that ended up winning us the war with the Saviors, you would be correct.
What do you need to do there?
I would think that would be obvious. I need to manufacture something.
Well, yeah, no shit.
Rosita grumbled as they kept walking. She looked around and smirked.
You notice where we are?
Yes, we've almost reached the spot where I employed the distasteful strategy of vomiting on you to escape your capture.
Still mad about that, by the way. That was the foulest barf I've ever smelled. I had to throw out those clothes because the smell never came out. What the hell did you eat anyway?
Mac and cheese and sardines.
Oh my god. Oh, I kind of want to punch you again.
Eugene chuckled slightly and shook his head.
You've come a long way since that day.
I would argue that particular day was the main contributor to why I've come a long way, actually. And my actions today are yet another step towards the future I intend to continue building for myself.
Oh yeah? How so?
They had reached the doors of the machine shop, and Eugene turned back to her as he opened the door.
I suppose you'll have to wait until I'm finished to find out.
About an hour later, Rosita sighed from where she was sitting at one of the workbenches.
Are you almost done? You've been tinkering over there for over 45 minutes.
The nature of my project requires precise calculations and even more precise execution. And I might point out that you are in no way obligated to stay while I work, considering I never requested your presence in the first place.
You've got me there. So did you mean what you said earlier? When you said that day was what changed things for you?
Of course. I'll freely admit I'd been having ever-increasing misgivings for quite a while, and that combined with my ardent aching for Talisa had caused me to begin to seriously rethink my decisions. But your words on that day were undoubtedly the proverbial kick in the pants I needed to step up and do something about it.
He walked over to her and held his hand out.
Here you are, my intended fabrication. I would ask that you please keep its existence and your knowledge of said existence to yourself until such a time as it becomes common knowledge to the greater public.
Eugene dropped it into her hand, and she looked down at it and then back up at him as understanding dawned on her face, and she smiled slowly.
Eugene Porter, is this what I think it is?
I would imagine it is most likely exactly what you think it is.
Holy shit, Eugene. This is huge.
Rosita jumped up and hugged him excitedly.
Considering I'd classify it as the most significant thing that has happened in my life to date, I'd say huge is an understatement.
When I Fall is a work of fiction based on AMC's The Walking Dead. Any characters not created by the author are the property of said company. The story will continue in the next chapter.